Kia ora koutou, ko Shelby Lockwood taku ingoa, and I am the coordinator for the Ngahere Korowai Collective. It's a privilege to be able to share with you all the environmental mahi that we're doing in Cannons Creek, and I hope that this presentation provides you with some information and inspiration that may be able to support you and your whānau. So to give some context, I work in the Te Hiko team at Wesley House on Mungavin Avenue and Cannons Creek, which is under the umbrella of Wesley Community Action. So for those of you that don't know, within our team at Te Hiko, we have initiatives such as local economics, which help to support the community with their finances through the Good Sense program and the Porirua Wealth Pool. We also have the Mahi Kai team, which support the Ho Ora Kai Co-op, the community food pantry, and seedlings propagation. So we grow seedlings to distribute to local kura and community members. And we also have the New Zealand People, which is a national program that supports whānau that have been impacted by meth. Lastly, we have Ngahere Korowai, which is an intergenerational environmental project which aims to cover the bare hills of East Porirua. So I'll mostly be focusing on the mahi that we're doing in relation to planting and monitoring the waterways. So we all work next to Belmont Regional Park, and to highlight some quick history, when the Treaty of Waitangi was signed in 1840, this land was lush and native bush which included broadleaf podocarp forest including tuatara, mātai, ribbonwood, kahikatea, ferns and understory. Following Kua's sales of the land in the 1840s, the land was largely cleared by felling and burning in the 1860s. This left the bare hills of Belmont Regional Park. So they were used to graze sheep and cattle, and the space was also used to store munition during World War II. So between 1960s and 1970s, the Waitangiroa farm settlement was largely managed by Landcorp. In 1989, the park was named Belmont Regional Park, and it was the first park in New Zealand to combine private and public land managed for recreation, farming, forestry and conservation purposes, according to Tony Waltz. In 2005, there was a local petition of over 12,000 signatures, which campaigned against an attempt by Landcorp to sell part of the park back to farmers. So local government bought this land, and in 2015, Landcorp's farming lease ended. So some of you may be thinking, how did we end up at Ngahere Korowai? How did it all start? Well, it all started with the Aotearoa Pacifica Men's Group, which is a group of local Porirua men that came together to share some guy, have a kōrero and support each other. They went to visit Zealandia in 2019 and asked the question, why can't we have that here? And so the journey began. The community helped to support that spark, and now Ngahere Korowai is a collective of over 100 members, all people who are dedicated in creating a surrounding korowai, a cloak of protecting forest around Porirua East. So who's in our collective? So some of the people involved within our collective are local residents, Ngāti Toa, surrounding environmental groups such as Friends of Mararoa, Te Rito Nursery, Zealandia, Porirua City Council, Greater Wellington Regional Council, Mountains to Seas Wellington, Predator Free New Zealand, Conservation Volunteers New Zealand, and many more. The big vision includes restoring at least 162 hectares of the park into native forest, while also bringing back native birds, improving health of waterways, connecting people to Te Taiao, and creating opportunities for people in Porirua to have careers where they can work in and for nature. So what do we currently do? So at the moment we're having quarterly Ngahere Korowai Collective hui, and we're doing water quality monitoring. Last year, collectively, the community and multiple environmental organisations planted 237,000 plants within East Porirua. We're also focused on building connections to other environmental groups and local spaces. So one of the main aspirations of this project is to create healthy streams and habitats for tuna and to clear our waterways. So this is why the men's group have been doing quarterly monitoring sessions of the Cannons Creek Lake Reserve. So what do we actually measure when we measure water quality? Well, one of the things we measure when we measure water quality is visual clarity. So if you can see at the bottom here, that's the visual clarity tube. And by using this tube, we can assess how much fine sediment is in the tube. And if there's a lot of sediment, this can mean that plants' growth can be inhibited, or fish's gills can be clogged, or aquatic insects can't see their food. So if we have high sediment, that means that there's a lot of erosion from earthworks or livestock somewhere. The next thing that we measure is water temperature. So if water temperature is quite high, there's not a lot of trees or shading on that awa, then that can mean that aquatic insects and plants may not be able to flourish and thrive there. We also measure conductivity, nitrate. So nitrate is excess nutrients that have been leached into the waterways. If there's a lot of this, then that can lead to algal blooms and excess of plant life that is actually damaging to animal and human health. We also measure phosphate, which is quite similar. With excess amounts of this, it can lead to more plant and algae bloom growth. And usually it's due to leaching fertilizer or runoff or stormwater. We also measure E. coli, and this can enter through leaks in the stormwater pipes, and it can be a strong indicator also of fecal contamination, so sewerage. And this has been happening in the Bothamley Park area. So over the last 2 years, the wastewater pipes have been upgraded, and there's actually an opening day for Bothamley Park, end of March. We also measure macrophytes, so aquatic plants, macroinvertebrates. So macroinvertebrates are the aquatic insects. Usually each species is allocated with a tolerance score. So the more of that particular species that is present can determine whether or not the stream is in good or poor health. So usually good health, you'll see lots of mayflies, caddisflies, and poor health, you probably only see snails and worms and that sort of thing. We also have measured litter, stream bed composition, fish, and also do 5-minute bird counts. So what have been our results? So overall in the Cannons Creek Lake Reserve, the visual clarity results have been pretty good. Water temperature usually ranges between 13 to 25 degrees in the summer and 9 to 12 degrees in the winter. E. coli levels are typically on the low side, which is good, and we are pretty close to excellent scores with macroinvertebrate and aquatic insects, and nitrate levels have also been low. Recently, we have been involved in the collaboration with Mountains Disease Wellington, where we helped to host Our After Dark, which was a spotlighting event. We had community come down, put their gumboots on, go into the stream and search for any macroinvertebrates or fish or tuna that they could find. And we spotted a pair of inanga or whitebait, toitoi or common bully, banded kōkapū, snails, invertebrates, and even a 60-centimetre long tuna, which was really, really cool. So this is just some of the mahi that we've been doing with the water quality monitoring, and some of the inspiration and words that go behind this vision or this kaupapa is through the whānau voice. So ecosystem repair and enrich is some of the feedback that we've received. We want this project to be long-term, intergenerational. We want to think we did it. Reciprocation is also a big thing. We want to give to Te Taiao. Te Taiao also gives to us, nourishes us, and we want to be able to hand over this knowledge to the next generation. So this is just some of the whānau voice that we've received from the Ngahere Korowai Collective, where we want to go and the drive behind it. Yeah, so if anyone is interested in being involved in this kind of mahi, if you want to get involved in community planting days or water quality monitoring, Come visit Wesley House in Cannons Creek. You can also visit our Facebook for upcoming events at Ngahere Korowai, or visit Te Hiko website. Email me there, or Wesley House at the bottom there, wesleyhouse@wesleyca.org.nz. And thank you to everyone that has watched this presentation, and I really hope to see you at some of our community planting days this winter. Kia ora.